You're listening to the Microsoft Innovation Podcast, where we explore the intersection of people, business, and technology. This year, we're adding a new show to our lineup, The AI Advantage, to help you learn the skills you need to thrive in the AI era.
Welcome to the Ecosystem Show. We're thrilled to have you with us. Here we challenge traditional mindsets and explore innovative approaches to maximizing the value of your software estate. We don't expect you to agree with everything. Challenge us, share your thoughts, and let's grow together. Now, let's dive in. It's showtime. Welcome back, everybody. It's been a while since we have recorded an episode. Life's been busy, people have been dying, and life has got interesting for all of us. And we're in I just find it an incredibly exciting time. 2025, my wife and I were reflecting overnight that we almost feel like we've already done a year's worth of work. And the speed that this year has kind of accelerated away on. How's everyone going, actually, before we crank in and I all of a sudden get very on-topic focused? How's everyone doing?
I mean, Anna and I live in Valencia now, and even though, so it's the city of 300 days of sunshine, 7 of the rainy days occurred last week, so that was kind of terrible, but it's beautiful again here now, so yeah, we're happy.
Yeah, all good, man. It's been a learning experience of the past few weeks, but it's been good, man. I hit up Azure, the AI tour stuff. That was really cool in London, and things were learned. Many things were learned. Yeah.
What was the AI tour? I don't think we've chatted about it.
With a wait list of thousands.
Wow.
So, yeah, and I will tell you, they pulled out all the stops, man. Like, what was presented,
Wow.
I'll send you the GitHub repository. What was presented that day was nothing short of excellent. It was excellent. They made a point of talking about trustworthy AI, a huge point, which I loved. Yeah, Judson was on stage. He did a great job. CEO in the UK, Darren, he was on stage, same thing. Deeply technical. So the UK have got now a deeply technical CEO. The guy's demoing agents to partners. Like, I say this without any sort of prejudice. Wow. I was really impressed with what they did. Right? Like, it was actually good. And they showed up, Microsoft showed up in force. Like, force. They were everywhere, talking to people.
Yeah.
I stood in the same place so there's like an entry door. I stood at that door for 3.5 hours. So many people here. It was absolutely excellent. So yeah, I hope that all countries get that exact same experience.
One of the phenomena that I have witnessed, and this is not, I'm not calling out any specific firm here because I think that this is endemic across technology vendors and system integrators, partners, everybody, right? Is that I'm finding that there is an increasingly dangerous disconnect between the people, and I think this will tee Mark up really nicely for the show's topic today, is that there's an increasingly dangerous disconnect between the people who make AI technology and the people who sell AI technology around the topic of trustworthy AI, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's because the people who make the tech, right, or the people who are deep in the weeds of the technology, like the four of us, we see, I think, where this is going. And I think that we see the danger of what we're playing with in a lot of cases. But those who sell the technology, what they see is that they need to get the technology into people's hands, and that trustworthy AI and responsible AI they don't want those things to become an obstacle to doing the deal. And I think that is endemic across every technology company that I see. So everyone should feel indicted by this, but no one should feel singled out by this statement of mine.
Yes. Thank you, Donald Trump.
But I also...
Well, because, he's the same thing, right? Like, let's forget about trustworthy. Let's just innovate. Let's get going.
Mm-hmm.
Anna.
We are innovating. We are innovating constantly. Just the fact that you know about what you're doing and you are aware of what sort of data sources you are using and how you should be like testing, measuring, and like making sure what risk you're exposing yourself to that doesn't mean that you're not innovating. It just
Yeah.
means that you are aware of what you're actually doing. Like I was talking to a customer today, and he was like, "Oh, I've been experimenting with agents, and I've created this agent to do X, Y, Z." And I was like, "Okay, that's really great. How did you test it?" He was like, "Oh yeah, it turns out it gives like bad answers a lot of the time." I'm like, "Okay, but you need to test it." And he's like, no, because I turned off the generative AI feature." And I'm like, "Then how are you using it?" So you see people, out of the fear to do something wrong, they turn off the very features that will help them create something very useful. So, and yeah, trustworthy AI doesn't mean stopping innovation, but it does mean preventing calamities potentially.
It's doing it under, a very well thought out, I don't know, methodology, architecture, way of thinking about things that doesn't just barrel down an innovation path without balancing it with human rights, safety. We're definitely not saying, that trustworthy AI is opposed to AI. It's absolutely about innovating in a way that ultimately protects humanity and the future of the world. And I know that sounds like, wow, that's over the top. And even as it comes out of my mouth, I know it sounds like that. But I posed just before we got on the air an interesting thing, and that is AI underhyped? Because there's a lot of people out there would say that, this is just a hype cycle that we're in. It's overhyped. It's nuts. And now I'm seeing reoccurring evidence that it's potentially underhyped, that we are not actually realizing that what we think is a wave of transformation of technology that we're on, that we're actually at the start of a massive tsunami. And we think we're on a wave. We think we're on a, if you've come from the power platform, 2 wave cycles a year. No, I think we're on a tsunami that if people to some degree are not aware of it, like all tsunamis, there's damage.
Mm-hmm. I think that part of this comes from the human and all humans. This is a trait that is in some way baked into us, right? We struggle to comprehend things that are so huge, right? Like we can read that the dinosaurs were extinct 65 million years ago, but we lack the ability to really understand how long 65 million years is.
Yeah.
Anna, and my daughter Alexandra, is obsessed with Bluey, the Australian cartoon. And we were watching an episode with her the other day when Bingo, Bluey's little sister, or as our daughter thinks her name is Fingo, with an F. Bingo asked her mom, or the mom asks Bingo, says, "You don't know how much a minute is, do you?" Right? And Bingo has no idea how long a minute is. And what I'm getting to here is that in from the perspective of the individual human, the individual user, right, or even from one organization, we look at what AI can do and we say, okay, I mean, big deal. It saves me a few minutes a day, helping me to process my emails or whatever. And that, I think, is truly the experience that many people have with AI today. But what they don't get, right, is how that experience that you are having in the micro, right, can grows into a macro phenomenon, right? So a good example of this is that, and how I think this is really dangerous, right, is that if you live in a police state or a totalitarian state or a nation, a place that restricts human rights, that surveils you. I don't use this word on the podcast very often. I don't think since the very first episode. You are fucked, right? And I'm,
Yeah.
Chris loves this, but I don't think that we can overstate the danger of this ability of AI to process information at a scale that human beings never could process information in sorting through, right, things that in sorting through data in nefarious ways. And I think
Yeah.
that this is extraordinarily dangerous.
So just to back up like what you said, here's what blows my mind. Here's like that is amazing. Like there's so much in what you just said there. The reference to the dinosaurs, that is absolutely like that's critically important as into what's possible, right? So at the moment we're at an inflection point or a coming inflection point of synthetic biology, robotics, and AI, and how they will interweave within each other and what is possible. So right now, you've heard of CRISPR, gene splicing, right?
Yeah.
Mustafa Suleyman, who is the CEO of Microsoft AI, the co-founder of DeepMind, he was at a prestigious university. The inference was it was in the UK, where a biology professor showed the advancements in gene splicing, and that the technology now has come down to a piece of lab equipment that is around 10,000 quid.
That's bucks for you Americans in the audience.
So that device can sit in somebody's garage. They can go online, not even have a biology degree, find enough through all the data online about gene splicing. And he said, for the first time in history, and he said, one person could synthesize a pathogen that will wipe out 1 billion people. And he goes, the problem is when I say that to you, he goes, your mind goes, nah, like you're a nutter. You're crazy. Don't be silly.
Mm-hmm.
$10,000 for the piece of equipment that can now synthetically generate a pathogen like we've never seen with online research in the individual's hand that could wipe out 1 billion people. And this dude, right, why I think this is important, he's the CEO of Microsoft AI. This is no schmuck. It blew my mind, and this is why I think that AI is potentially underhyped. Because he goes on like, that's an example of an individual actor and what is possible. He said, now you go to a nation state and the state of the world at the moment, and what happens when nation states decide, you know what, we're going to take advantage of this to our benefit, against another nation state and stuff. And I'm like, I'm a very positive, non-fair type guy. I think Chris has gone too fearful lately in his, cautiousness of AI. But I think that we need to really, and by the way, it's not going to stop me still going at 100 miles an hour in my education and learning on the subject. But I think some of the stuff that we're finding in our work now around trustworthy AI and the even, recently really getting into the human rights element of what we're doing is becoming critically important that people get educated and not kind of go, la, 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 hear no, see no, say no evil, because a wave, a tsunami, doesn't care what you think.
Dynamics Minds is one event you don't want to miss. Microsoft product managers and industry leaders from all over the world converge in Slovenia to explore the latest in Dynamics 365, the Power Platform, and Copilot. Expect 3 days of in-person community connection, trailblazing insights, and a location sure to inspire our creativity. Early bird tickets are on sale now, and podcast listeners get 10% off by registering via the link in the show notes. Hope to see you there.
Well, right. And just a little pin in Chris. Remember, Chris Huntingford is the only one, I think, on this show who has really come face to face with the Armageddon that would occur if AI reprogrammed the world's toasters and turned them against us. One of the funniest rants Chris has ever gone on.
Okay, so I'm coming at it from talking directly to big customer organizations, right? Like that's where I'm coming at it from. I'm not coming at it from any other place, right? And working with people who don't care, right? Like, not like in my company, but like other folks in the community have said to me, "Oh, so this thing isn't real. We don't really give a damn, whatever." And I'm like, my mind is blown about it. But right, like somebody said to me the other day, "This EU AI Act thing is just going to blow over. Where are the people that have been in trouble from it?" I'm like, my guy, it's just it bothers me. And the more people do that, the more aggro I get about it because I care and I feel a responsibility. And that's really important, right? And Mark, on your comment around like, this is underhyped, it is grossly underhyped. Somebody said to me today, I was in a customer meeting, and I said, do you all have like a relatively strange fear about AI? And they said, yeah, some people do. I'm like, that's a very good thing because it shows that you're respecting it a little bit, like it's not something to be trifled with. And my worry is that the propensity, again, I use my phrase, turning walking sticks into weapons. The propensity for something to go wrong is not like the propensity for something to go wrong with regular type software. Like this could go very badly wrong. The other thing that I really struggle with is, again, the socioeconomic impact on people, right? Like the more something affects people, the more something that's when I like really, really get passionate about it. And I can see people being affected by this. Do you know there are discussions in big companies about wiping out entire workforces of people with this stuff? Literally saying, we will fire our customer service departments. Like I can tell you because these conversations have been had in front of me, right? And I'm like, what happened to protecting people? What happened to protecting them? Like, what happened, right? So it's scary.
That's what happened. Profits.
I'm exactly because I'm also seeing like examples where people are now generating content or like doing their research in maybe an hour, 2 hours, stuff that still takes their colleagues like the whole week, the whole work week. And these individuals who are able to use AI to do their job in this way, on the one hand, they're like, well, I'm going to relax now for a bit. And on the other hand, they're thinking and they're seeing how their job is going away.
Yeah.
So they're just saying that, okay, but I guess what everybody's missing here is the fact that that particular job potentially is going away. But there are things that we don't know yet that are still there for all of us. New things, new innovation.
That scares me though, because so I was with Andrew Brownlee this evening, right? Like just had a couple of chats, and I love that dude because he's a recruiter. But he said to me, he was like, "Man, what am I going to do in 3 years?" I'm like, "Homie, you're lucky because you're in the tech space, right? Like you can get skilled up." But here's something that blows my mind, and he said something to me that stuck. And he's like, "What do you think the end game is here?" I'm like, "Oh no, I don't know how to answer that question because I mean, like the end game with data is get your data order. The end game with security is secure your landscape. The end game with AI is, I don't know, pumpkins. Like it could be it. We don't know."
No, I think the end game with AI is the end game with everything. Why do people even do all of this? They do it because they want to be happy, because they want to live longer, because they want to be healthier.
I don't know.
That's the point. That's the end game, isn't it? Like for me, that's the ultimate end game. I don't know, achieving immortality, and it sounds silly, but Mike is like,
Mark wants to live forever. He wants to have a 300-hour work week with the help of AI. I actually think so. So my perspective on first of all, I would add, Anna, to your list of aspirations, right? That the end game for many is, and I don't actually like the word end game. It's the why, right? For many, it is curiosity. It is curiosity. It is President Kennedy's moon speech at Rice University in the early 60s, I think 1962, 61, 62, in which, he says, we choose to go to the moon not because it is easy, but because it is hard. Because that challenge will serve to measure the best, to organize and measure the best of our energy and skills, right? I think that's a motivation. So I think to some extent it is the same thing that led humans to board rickety wooden ships and cross the ocean, or to strap themselves to a firecracker and shoot themselves into space. I do think that there's an exploration and a curiosity element here, but I wouldn't call it the end game. To me, there is no end game, right? We're not pursuing an end game. This is just another thread in the fabric that continues to be pulled until there is no more.
The end.
I guess the end, but it's not a game,
Yeah.
right? Like,
No.
like there is no end game.
So perhaps it's a theatre. Is all the world a stage? Is all the world a stage? Maybe not a game.
I also think that you could look at it from a positive perspective as well. So let's just say, because we believe in the EU AI Act, yes, and we
Yeah.
see many, organizations following it, and we see nations having their own version of the EU AI Act. Now, not all of the nations. I've just we stumbled upon truly autonomous agents with absolutely no testing and craziness out there as well. I don't know how that's going to pan out, but let's just take the positive scenarios and let's just think about us again, right? So people are into, and we've been talking about, I don't know, vitamins and biohacking and stuff like that. Imagine being able to have, AI just plan that and evolve a plan with you so that it always fits the purpose for you, to make you healthier, more energetic, to give you better sleep, to just make you happier in general. We were talking, my sister-in-law is a doctor. She's an ICU doctor and an anesthesiologist. She was saying that out of curiosity, she just went on and just asked ChatGPT some questions, very specific questions. She swears a lot of that detail has been lost on her nurses, for example. Imagine all of that information being refreshed into your mind constantly. Imagine the rate of error that's being avoided because of all of that. This could be really, really good as well.
I totally agree. If people want some reading material, check out a book written in 2013 by Dan Brown, right? The same dude that wrote the Da Vinci Code. He wrote a book called Inferno, and that book, which is, I went I never read novels. I only read Dan Brown novels in my life. Otherwise, it's always business type books that I read. That book, though, shows how a virus could spread. And in this case, you're thinking it's a virus to wipe out the world. What he did was, plot killer. But the virus that was released basically makes 50% of the world infertile to control population growth, right? And this is the thing, is that there's different ways that people can think about this. And of course, the conclusion of the book is the virus is gone. It's already released. And the technique used was very cunning. Then he released a book in 2017 called The Origin. And that book, man, where we are in AI now, that book is all about AI, and it was released in 2017. It will mount your face. And he's a brilliant author in that he brings reality, but he ties it in with enough. And it's all set in Spain, guys. Valencia.
No.
Is it set in Valencia?
No, it's actually sent in just north of you. And it's all over Spain because it's run with this king of Spain. But it's the why I loved it. What's Catalan? What's the city there? And what's the main city on that above you? I went there for my honeymoon. I can't even remember.
Barcelona.
What's it called? Barcelona, right? It's set there. And the crazy thing is, because I went there for my honeymoon, I went to the location of where the supercomputer is that's doing it. This book will melt your face. Now, when I keep thinking back to this book that I read in 2017, I am like, how much the world has become the reality of that fiction. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. And it'll just open you up to the potential of what we're in at the moment.
So at the risk of sort of having introduced the topic of, is AI overhyped or underhyped, and then we get to the end of the show and we've just sort of rolled off on various tangents. I want to bring us back to this question, because it is true. I do have a lot of conversations with folks that I think believe that AI is overhyped. And increasingly my LinkedIn feed is polluted with people, you know who you are, that just sort of poo-poo every advancement and capability and think that this is a bubble and think that this is, and it may be a bubble for other reasons, right? It may be a bubble in that much cheaper LLMs are just as effective running on hardware that is not made by NVIDIA, right? Like there may be some big names. And by the way, I don't know, right? We'll see. Time will tell.
Yeah.
But what I don't think is a bubble is AI as a broad technology category. And I don't believe that it is overhyped. I think that if anything, it is underhyped, and it is underhyped in some really fundamentally dangerous ways.
Yeah. And remember the word containment. Like, what blows my mind by this book, and by the way, the book from Solomon is called The Coming Wave, Technology, Power, and the 21st Century Greatest Dilemma. And for me, knowing Microsoft, I was like, I'm surprised they let this guy publish this because it is such a stabilizing, grounding book. And his first, concern is, can we contain it?
Yeah.
And he thinks that maybe not, but we need to try everything we can too. That's the risk profile. And I tell you what, I mean, I'm only 1.5 chapters in, and I am like, it's blowing my mind. And that, once again, I'm not talking about somebody that's just theorizing. This is one of the founding, DeepMind is definitely considered for a very long time the leading company in AI, hence why Google purchased it. This guy is as I say, schmuck. He knows his stuff, and he has seen things probably way ahead of what we're seeing.
Yeah, I 1,000% agree. I think that just listening to the way people talk within the community and some of the places I've been to, it's just crazy how people think that things just come and go, right? And the containment thing scares me as well, because this is going to be like spell check on steroids type thing that'll just land up everywhere. It will. It's going to be beach sand, right? It's just going to be in everything. And again, I think Microsoft do a great job of doing things in a trustworthy manner. Like, I've looked at the tools. I'm working in Azure. I'm working in the incremental AI pieces in Copilot. I'm working through the Power Platform. And I do think they do a wonderful job. Like, I'll give you an example. What I used to do in jailbreaks in Copilot now, 2 months ago, I can't do now. The exact same prompts I can't do. And I know how to lead an LLM. I know exactly what to do. And I'm starting to see, even in the content management side of things inside Azure, like the things that they're doing in there are excellent. But that's Microsoft, right? Like, I believe that they've got a very strong message around trustworthy computing from people like Pamela Cortez. But that's fine. But what about these other companies that are building these tools that are ungoverned, like Grok and shit like that? I'm not concerned about people like Microsoft and Google. I'm concerned about the things that happen outside of that, like the shadow AI that is appearing all over the place without that governance. So I think people think when we're talking about things like responsible AI, trustworthy computing, trustworthy AI, we're referring to the big vendors, which we are to an extent, but it's not that. It's wider than that. It's like way, way wider. And that's the part that terrifies me, because I'm doing a lot of research into it, and I'm seeing a lot of it. And it's bonkers, man. It's absolutely bonkers. Like, we are kind of, to an extent, third order ignorance, where we don't know what we don't know. Like, we're in the world of looking at the big vendors and thinking that is what AI is. But actually, that's just a portion of it. That's the thing that I'm like.
Yeah. I do want to balance this with, I'm not a naysayer at all for AI. I'm definitely not a Luddite. And there's a lot of people that are in that Luddite category, which are risky as well, right? Because we don't want people coming out with pitchforks and whatnot and creating disruption globally. Who knows? But I mean, I'm excited about the concept, or the dare I say, I feel theory at the moment of what an agent could be. And, I'm finding more and more use cases for agents in my life, right? I want to have a health agent that's just monitoring my vitals and tweak. I want an agent there's so many use cases for agents. I just don't think they're there yet. But boy, am I excited about the possibility of that. But I'm saying, this is a scales thing, right? We're just going to balance the forward momentum, the innovation, with the way that goes, shit, we didn't just create something that's going to be damaging to us all.
Yeah, you're right, man. I mean, I think so. The other thing I just want to bring up real quick is that there's a big difference between an agent and sparkling automation, right? And we're in the sparkling automation era. All we're doing is we're attaching pieces of AI into layers of automation. And I think
100%.
we don't truly ourselves understand the use cases for agentified AI. I don't think we understand truly in our brains what this is going to do.
I think that, to me, I'm actually less, when I think about the things that concern me the most in AI, it's not where I'm putting my brain power and where I'm
Right.
thinking right now is not about an agent or what an agent can do. I'm thinking about what AI's capacity, like I said at the very beginning of the show, what AI's capacity for say surveillance of populations can do. I think that something that hasn't come up on this episode that maybe we should talk about is the implications of AI in global security or in national security, right? AI's ability to process satellite imagery, right? Or to outperform a one nation's rival in a cyber attack situation, right? Like to me, the story here, yeah, I mean, there's lots of stories, but the story that really keeps me up at night is AI's ability to process and then act on information at a scale that is 65 million years since the dinosaurs died, right? And I don't think that we really can comprehend, just like we don't really understand the use cases and what agents will be able to do in a pretty short amount of time. I think that we are very, very close to a very dangerous situation in terms of law enforcement, in terms of human rights, in terms of global security. Not to end us on a down note, I have lots of optimism about this technology, but I do think we need to be sober in the way that we think about it, and the way and in our tragic imagination of it.
So what are we saying? What should we do? Like, to wrap this up, what should we do to contain this, to make it better, to, like you're saying, to understand what the risks are?
Get educated.
Is there anything that we can do, or
get educated broadly? Like, really,
right.
I think that now more than ever, individuals need to go into a repeatable learning cycle. Like, I don't know if you can see there, wipe out for life. I really of taking this mindset is, I know nothing, teach me everything. I know about whatever I'm focusing on. And I'm really in this, this curiosity, get curious. If you're not curious, work out what will make you curious. I think you need to go out there and don't get into echo chambers of, oh, my friend said this. Oh, I saw this on the news article. No, that's not education. That's just you're in the news cycle, right? Go read people that know stuff on these topics. Read a proper book. Don't read, just a post of, a consolidated concept. Go a bit deeper. Really own your own thought process around this. Don't just borrow somebody else's.
Yeah.
Totally agree with you. So get educated, read as much as you can. Don't only believe in the bad news. I know that the human psyche is more hyped for catastrophes and things like that. Just let's have a look into detail and tell us your opinion. Drop us a message. We're very interested in feedback. Have a good night.
I have one final one. Don't vote for lunatics.
And don't vote for very important. Do not vote for crazies.
Ciao, everyone.
See you.
Bye, everyone.
Ciao, bye.
Thanks for tuning into the Ecosystem Show. We hope you found today's discussion insightful and thought-provoking. And maybe you had a laugh or two. Remember, your feedback and challenges help us all grow. So don't hesitate to share your perspective. Stay connected with us for more innovative ideas and strategies to enhance your software estate. Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries and creating value. See you on the next episode.
you ready to accelerate your career in the Microsoft ecosystem? The 90-Day Mentoring Challenge, created by Mark Smith, is your opportunity to create a personalized pathway to success. Join over 1,200 alumni from more than 70 countries who have achieved remarkable results, from promotions to new job opportunities. Take it from Nathan, who said, "Since completing the 90-Day Mentoring Challenge, I've become an MVP in business applications and doubled my income." Or from Parves, who shares, "I've never felt as inspired or energized about my career as I do now." Sign up at arcor.nz365guide.com. You can find the link in the show notes. And if you use the code podcast, you'll get 10% off.